here in my garage, I've got my Lamborghini Countach and my Ferrari Testarossa. I like to drive them around the hills of Illinois here. We call them Illinois. And today I'm gonna say why I just, there's something better than materialistic things, and that is knowledge. And boy, we're gonna drop some knowledge bombs on you today! I've had this Countach for a little while now. I've had the Testarossa for a few weeks. I've been able to drive them both. And let me tell you what, we're gonna get started on this thing. But first, the Testarossa. Major drama behind the scenes. Not sure if I'm gonna have it for the next week. Might be shipping back. Crazy, crazy story. Way misrepresented by the seller, in my opinion. So we'll get to that in a little bit. First, we're gonna talk about the exteriors of these cars. And you can see them both are incredibly different. This is like super square, in my opinion, plain Jane. It is a little bit wide, but very 1980s. And I love me a retros car. Don't get me wrong, they are both retro. But this Countach is just the epitome of, I don't even know how to explain it, craziness of the 70s and 80s. They started building these in 1974 up through 1989. The Testarossa was built from 1984 to 1991. So this is a little bit older of a design, even though it looks a little bit more wacky and crazy. But take a look at the wing on this. First of all, wing is just nuts. Over the top, crazy. V12 naturally aspirated engine with just over 400 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. Out of this Lamborghini Countach, arguably the most wacky retro looking vehicle that I have in the entire collection. I thoroughly enjoy it. I love it. It is fun. It's like you're immersing back into the 80s when you are driving this vehicle. Cool thing about the engine is that it is fully rebuilt. I sent it over to George Evans in Columbus, Ohio, and they took this thing out. They took the transmission out, rebuilt both of them, brand new clutch, repainted the engine. It looks immaculate, it looks awesome, and it runs even better than it looks. And helping the engine breathe, it has a Quicksilver exhaust system that is custom, does make it a little bit louder, and this thing be stankin'. When it stinks in the garage, you either know the Countach has been started up or Natalia just walked in. Tastefully, we did the wolf for the license plate. We actually happen to share a picture of me driving around in this that Jordan Belfort went on to share, which was kind of cool. Nice little nod back to us. They redesigned this vehicle, so it was still called the Countach, but they redesigned it 88, 89 for the 25th anniversary edition. It looked quite a bit different, and I really liked the slightly older design. I think this one was a little more retro. Most people say the 88, 89 is a little more crazy. But I just love this. Look at these fender flares too. I mean, how many vehicles that are supercars come from the factory with big, massive fender flares like this? I also read somewhere that Pirelli had never made a tire this wide. So Lamborghini had to work with Pirelli to develop a tire this wide. These are just 15-inch wheels. A couple of the side notes, these are prone to overheating, so they need a ton of air, and you can see all of the vents that they have all over this car, these huge ducts right here behind the doors. And then the little duct right here, and on the other side, the fuel fill is a very awkward, not on that side, it's on this other side. Strangely, the fuel refill is right here.
And now you guys know if you want to siphon gas from this car to car show, you know right where it is. Just pop it off and slurp it right up.
Mm-hmm. Right, Steve? That's right. Pop it out and slurp it up. That's what Tommy's good at. Okay. Moving on to the exterior of the Testarossa, and we'll go over the engine too. Both of them pop-up headlights, great, very cool. No longer legal, so yeah, go buy a 1980s or mid to late 90s car if you want pop-up headlights. I think that these lines right here in the door and then the rear quarter panel are like, this is how you know immediately that it's a Testarossa, and this is just what gives it just super straight line, no curves. Same with the Countach, just literally no curves anywhere on these vehicles. No big spoiler, I don't remember one being offered from the factory. I've seen some aftermarket ones that, they look okay. You'll notice that both of them have this little bump on the back that limits your vision when you back up. The Countach has zero vision as you back that thing up. You gotta pop yourself up out the door.
You have a little bump in front, don't you?
I do, it's teeny tiny.
Just like a little mosquito light kind of, right?
Little baby girl bump. Yeah, right. Fuel refill on the Testarossa right here on the back upper quarter panel thingy. Powering the Ferrari Testarossa is a 380 horsepower V12 naturally aspirated motor as well. 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, so we're talking about a 0.6 second difference between the two vehicles. That one had a little more horsepower, of course. In my opinion, this is a lot slower, noticeably slower. It sounds a lot different. This one sounds crazy raw, like it has 12 cylinders. This sounds like it's a Japanese 6-cylinder, 4-cylinder. It has a Capriso exhaust system. Tommy just looked it up. Both of them aftermarket exhausts, because that's what we do here.
So this thing has some tasteful modifications. It has the wheels,
yes,
the brake calipers, yep, exhaust, racing steering wheel.
Oh, that's right.
And mold.
There are 3 major things that were wrong with this vehicle that weren't advertised. I bought it from Bring a Trailer. One of the pictures did show a teeny tiny little baby girl, but a mold on the seat, and that was really it. However, as we opened the car up when it arrived, it was full of cobwebs and filthy and disgusting. First of all, great job seller sending it that way. Second of all, it had just significant mold all over in pockets. Gross, disgusting, it smelled waterlogged. I think that this thing either sat in the most moist environment possible for like 6 years, or the thing was like 7 feet underwater. To be determined.
The leather in the interior is like hard to the touch too. Like it feels like it's a flood damaged car.
Yes.
It's pretty bad.
Yes. 2 other significant bad things about it that we'll get into, but just disappointing and still determining if I'm going to keep it. And if I don't keep it, I'm going to buy another one. You better be damn straight about that. I'm going to get another black one that's probably in better shape. Maybe I'll do a better job doing some diligence on that, homeboy. Tommy doesn't even like to, he won't even sit in this thing and drive it.
He's the one who bought it. I make him drive it.
Countach has the scissor doors. Tommy knows all about scissoring. Instant flex when you roll up in a scissor door, where the Ferrari Testarossa, like my 488 GTB, doors just open outwards. No fun. So as I mentioned, this has the most square interior of anything that I've ever seen in my entire life. There are no curves in here. Try to find a curve. I don't see one. Okay, the little circle knob. That doesn't count. First things first, we notice that the speedometer is in kilometers. It has tiny little mile per hour. It goes up to 200 miles an hour. I haven't gotten this car that fast. I've gotten another car above 200, know what I'm saying? I love it. You can smell the 1980s in this thing, unlike the Testarossa that smells like a moldy swamp.
And there's still cocaine in the floorboards, right?
Yeah, it's cocaine. There's still cocaine all over this car. I'll be driving along and I'll hit a bump and I'll puff something up and I'm like, oh man!
Every time I drive this car, it feels like you're in a spaceship. Like what a spaceship would have been in the 80s.
I agree.
That's what it's like.
That is a great way to put it, Thomas. Gated 6-speed transmission to prevent you from going into first gear by mistake, which is actually reverse, because reverse is up and left. You have to just remember to flap this little metal flap thing. Air conditioning works pretty decent in this car. I'm told that from the factory, even on its best working day, it's like a 3 out of 10 as far as how hard it blows and how, that's what she said, and how cold it is. This is actually a factory head unit too. I found a nifty little Bluetooth cassette. Pop the cassette in, it Bluetooth broadcasts my phone to that and through the amazing stereo system that this thing has. Glove box is broken, can't do much there. Not too much going on in this interior, to be completely honest with you. I mean, the white is amazing. Only white interior that I have. I would not put a white interior on really any other car. I actually hate white interiors. This is the only car I think that it's okay to have this on. The horn is great. You gotta hear that. Ready? Let's do a horn off.
All right.
You feeling horny? You horny, bro?
Sure am.
Let's do it, man.
Ready? Hold on.
Which has the more feminine horn? I thought this had the most feminine, gentle horn possible, but I think the Testarossa takes the cake on that one. The most differentiable thing that I want to point out about this interior is that you feel like you are in something special. You sit in it and you just know that you're in an expensive car or something that cost a lot of money back in the 80s. Testarossa is a little different. Let's go over that one. Boom. Ooh, check that out, baby girl. This doesn't feel quite as special as the Lamborghini Countach. You get in it, and honestly, it feels like I could be driving a 1980s Toyota. I don't know, it's much more cramped. The windshield's up close to you. It's not like you're in something that's incredible, and that is what she said. I think we're gonna make a decision by the end of this video, Tommy, if we're gonna send it back, okay? As Tommy mentioned, the aftermarket Momo steering wheel. That is okay. I was okay with the aftermarket modifications with this since we were gonna wide body it. Now, if I was buying it like the lens I did of the Countach, I definitely would have stuck to it very factory, because that Countach is incredibly factory other than the aftermarket exhaust. I said 6-speed on the Countach, but I meant 5-speed. You see, I saw 6 gears and I goofed up on that. But this has the same exact setup where it looks like a 6-speed, but the same exact thing. You go up and left and you're in reverse. This doesn't have the little metal doohickey, but you do have to push it down before it goes in reverse. Then you got first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and it ends at 5th gear. As I mentioned, this thing is a lot slower. We'll take it for a drive. We'll take you on the road and we'll see exactly what these things feel like.
As you're vlogging, I just got a text from Chicago Motor Cars.
Yes.
In Irongate, and he goes, "What's with the fire?"
There's a fire at Irongate?
I mean, he's texting us, which means that it could be your condo.
Oh no!
Straight up. Where?
Right outside your door. The whole garbage dump is on fire. The department's here. Naperville Fire Department's here.
At our car condo.
My son threw a little bag of Cheez-Its in there this morning. I wonder if that caught on fire. Let's go check that out.
Let's go.
So I'm doing a full pull. It's really slow. I think it's just something wrong with the engine. Issue number 2 is that the engine is crap. Stalls, idles rough, even when it's warm. And let's talk about issue number 3 while we're driving. We thought it just needed an alignment, but apparently it needed some frame straightening. So frame damage in the back of it that just was never fixed. And this thing kind of crab walks as it drives. You can't feel it when you're driving, but it definitely is not that great. I gotta carefully brake while gassing and clutching or it'll stall. What do you think people Like, what do you think people just think seeing an old Countach and an old Testarossa whipping down the road? That's got to be an awesome sight to see.
It's gotta be.
I think I'm jaded because this Testarossa is such a piece of shit. If this was running really well and didn't smell like a moldy swamp, I definitely would like the Countach better, hands down. Like, the Countach just looks and feels way more like a crazy supercar, and the price reflects it. These are going for like $1 to $250. Countaches are going for like $600,000 to $1 million, even though they were somewhat close MSRP back in the 80s. Definitely going to get another Testarossa just because it pairs so well. We can wide body and it's going to look bad. Handling actually really nice. Even though frame damage, it really hugs the road and it feels good. I have the E28 M5 that feels like almost like a shopping car. Like, it was built for comfort, not for like hugging the road. But this is aggressive. It's built like a sports car, and I will say that it does have some very nice suspension. Yeah, buddy, we're at 50 miles an hour already. We're gonna see the dumpster that's on fire in about 5 seconds. All right, take a look. That's my unit, guys, with the fire truck inside. Outside, same thing.
Last one's on the scene of the fire.
Can you imagine if we just walked up without pretext? We'd be like, what the fuck just happened?
The guys at CMC said it just like happened on, like it was like raging, like huge. There's gotta be.
Did they get footage of it when it was raining?
No, it was after the fire department was here. Yeesh, it is super smoky in here.
Oh, dude, I hope this doesn't like permanently alter the smell. Because when you have like fire damage, it's hard to get rid of that. It's probably can't be picked up by the camera, but it is really smoky in here, and it smells like the unit inside was on fire.
It can't be, the smell can't be picked up by the camera, but if you were here, it would smell like smoke.
Firemen suggested that we get some fans in there to help vent it out because it will leave like a permanent stink in the unit. Permanent stink, Kami knows all about that.
Yeah.
We decided that we were gonna go full retro for this condo, so I want you to be able to walk into it and feel like you're walking into a 80s yet contemporary but very 80s vibe. We're gonna do a video on this once we fully open it up to the public, but it should look incredible. Oh, whatever was in there burned up. There's like 6 just burned up boxes at the bottom, that's it. On to the Countach, the much more fun car to drive.
That Testarossa, I can smell the mold from here. So nasty.
All right, first things first, the very safe buckle. This is the entire buckle right here. Thanks for locking up, there we go. Second thing, can't wear shoes. Your feet will not fit down there with shoes. Third, beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's go do some pulls. Here we go. Heavy on the clutch from the start. We'll have to do better next time. This thing handles really nice. I think the Testarossa actually does handle a little bit better. This one has a little bit more play in the steering. Just doesn't, it does hug the road, but it feels like I'm driving a little bit more of a go-kart, to be totally honest. First the Testarossa. This one is definitely stinkier too. Again, you just feel like you're in a totally different vehicle in this thing. You know you're in something special when you're driving this around. The sound is less droning, where the Ferrari's like, this one's like, you can hear the engine firing, hear the rawness of the motor. Great horn. This guy in front of me is like probably like, what the hell? And just the road presence on this, I can only say from my experience, but I'm sure that people tend to look at this much more closely and in more awe than the Testarossa. Definitely really good acceleration. I'm going to try and do a pull in a second where I can maybe spin the tires out. The clutch is a little funky on this, but I'm told that's the way it is. Sometimes when you fully dump the clutch, hold on, let me get this. Sometimes when you fully dump the clutch, it will accelerate like you're still pushing the clutch down an inch or so, where it doesn't quite grab. So that's kind of weird, but I'm told that's the way it is. Testarossa looks pretty good from behind. This is the first time that actually looks really nice. First time I've been on the road behind it. All right, pull. Let's do this, ready? AC fixed it. When it doesn't work, it's impossible to go in here. The windows only roll down like 3 inches, so on a 90-degree day like today, absolutely necessary to have it. General synopsis is that both of them are very awesome cars, great road presence. The Testarossa, in my opinion, have changed a little bit as we drove. It is a super wide, very nice car. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And what do you think? Are we going to keep the Testarossa?
I think that's a boo-boo. I think that's
I
a
don't.
no-no.
Yeah, I was talked out of it when I drove it. So Testarossa is going to go back. We're going to find a new one. Yeah. As always, thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next vlog. Thank you. You left the headlights on, by the way, Natalia.
They don't go down anymore.
The lights are on. Just going to let the battery die on that then. Oh, there she goes. Jeez, God forbid.